The year is 1995 and the city is Los Angeles. You're just a man trying to earn a decent wage doing honest work. That work is knocking off banks. As you're nearing your retirement, the score of a lifetime comes up to the tune of $12 million, and that's just too good to say no to.
A score of such high stakes requires the right choice of gun. And it turns out, there's only one correct gun, the 733.
All right, everyone, welcome to the show. R.I.P. Val. I know it's late that this is coming out, but we lost a good one. We happen to have lost him like 2 days ago by the time that we're filming this. So rest easy there, old Kilmer. Today we are looking at arguably the most famous pop culture AR of all time. We're going to do a dedicated video on like what was the coolest movie AR of all time. My initial reaction leads me to believe the 733 is the most iconic AR of all time from movie world. This is not a actual Colt. This is a resto-mod from Type A rifles. Of course, we've done several videos on several of their different guns, and I was already in the midst of doing a 733 clone. I was starting to gear up and source parts and all that kind of stuff, and then I heard that they were doing this, and I was like, well, let's just make this a little bit more simple. I'll just get the resto mod from this. So we're going to be looking at the history of the real guns, the 733 and sort of Commando lineup, just take you down that path a little bit because it is very confusing. We'll look at the pop culture significance of the actual heat gun, take you to the range, we'll shoot, we'll run some drills, see if we can pull off Val's reload time, or if we're going to get smoked by Val Kilmer there. But before we do all of that, who are you?
Who
man?
am I?
Yeah.
Who are you?
People have known me for, well, you know, look, I've been referred to as the Devil's Child.
Sure.
People, the Irish Panther.
In your adult film industry jobs, I assume?
Yes, I don't ever really comment on what my name was from that industry, but it was pretty grand.
So, hey y'all, I'm Eli Duckworth. I got 1776 Duck on Instagram and YouTube. And then also I am the Gen Z kid over at Alchemy Custom Weaponry. You may have heard of them. We make badass custom 1911s. It's a great job. I feel like I was meant to do that. That's my God-given talent, is selling 1911 pistols.
You guys, in many ways, are doing something similar to what Type A does with their resto mods, because you guys do
absolutely
basically the same thing.
Yep, we take older ideas, older designs, and bring them back and make update them where they kind of need to be, and leave them alone where they need to be. So
do a few of those a year. 4? Is that right?
This year, yes, we'll have 4 35 guns each. And there's some really cool ones. We've released one by this particular point, but we've got some really cool ones coming out. So
that was the Packmeyer, is that right?
Yep, the Packmeyer
Combat
Special.
Cool. Yeah, that was cool. That was a sleeper. Honestly.
Well, and that's a real rare gun, so you kind of have to be in the know on that one. But very similar to what these guys do, and I love Type A. As far as AR-15s are concerned, they do a great job. So
definitely,
I enjoyed this gun.
All right, rock and roll, everyone. Let's start talking a little history of these guns. Okay, everyone, let's talk some history of the sort of Colt Commando family, right? I'm going to keep this fairly broad. So the funny thing is that, there's so many people that maybe aren't like kind of gun nerds that they see a 733 and all they think of is heat. They think it's just a movie gun, when in reality, like, no, this is a real world gun with a very long history. I'll keep it pretty broad because it really is a deep and fairly confusing rabbit hole. There's all sorts of terms that are kind of sort of interchangeable, and there's history and there's wars and there's stuff where you're just like, man, what exactly is going on here? So to keep it broad, give you the 101 course. The 733 is part of the CAR-15 family. CAR-15 standing for Colt Automatic Rifle 15. This is largely Colt's attempt to associate the AR with Colt instead of Armalite, right? This is largely just kind of a marketing play, and frankly, it kind of worked because most of us kind of use the term CAR-15 when we're talking about guns of this era. It's really just part of the M16 family, not to overcomplicate it. M16, 5.56, that was all meant to operate on a 20-inch barrel, right? That is really where 5.56 shines because of velocity and it needing to tumble when it hits targets. 20-inch barrel is where it shines. So the desire to shorten the M16 begins really in the mid-1960s, which is crazy because we think of short barrel rifles and we kind of think more of a modern era thing with Mark 18s and things like that. But the reality is, like, this is going back to the 1960s. So you'll hear three terms that are kind of sort of interchangeable. You'll hear CAR-15, you'll hear Colt Commando, you'll hear XM177. We're all kind of dancing around the same conversation once we start talking about this stuff, right? And we're really talking about 10.5 to 11.5 inch barrels. 733 is 11.5 inch. Obviously, there's 10.5s out there as well. Fundamentally, it is a short barrel Colt M16. It was developed as a shorter barrel alternative to an M16 for circumstances where that 20-inch gun might have been too long. So think, ships, helicopters, CQB. That's where, can you do CQB with a 20-inch gun? Yeah, of course, people have done it for a long time, but this is a little bit more friendly to those tight confines. So the Commando guns have typically been more of a special operations gun, going back to the Army purchasing their first batch for MAC-VSOG in Vietnam. So, I mean, we're really kind of going back into history here when we start looking at the roots of these bad boys. Used by Delta operators in the 1990s. I've even spoken with some of those guys, and it's kind of funny how much they loved these. I mean, they were like, we really love those guns, largely because they were extremely lightweight. And I mean, that gun's almost comically lightweight. Yeah. When you compare it to, optics, laser suppressors, all that kind of stuff, you're just like, man, we complicate the AR quite a bit. Like, that is just really a stripped down core gun that is incredibly lightweight, which is why they loved it.
Just an interesting note. The Colt nomenclature, I believe, for their early stuff with these guns, they actually referred to it as submachine gun. So that is, I just think because of its size and lightweight, and the roles that it filled in non-specialized units. Like, in fact, the Air Force, I believe, is the very first military unit that actually adopted these. And so anyways, the Colt nomenclature for this was a submachine gun, and actually that's a pretty cool thing, even though maybe it's not what winds up for us.
Yeah, it's different. We think PCC, pistol caliber, but fundamentally, hey, that back in the day was effectively being used like a sub gun. So that's a little bit of broad history of the sort of Commando family, but let's really go pop culture now. All right, everyone, let's start talking about, of course, the most famous scene from Heat, the bank robbery shootout. So here's the funny thing. Would you rank this as like best movie action scenes of all time?
Number one.
For me, it probably is number one.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, Heat as an overall thriller, obviously it's long and all that kind of stuff, but like, I mean, it is.
It's a good movie.
It is that movie.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing that I know you don't know this story, and I'm going to be willing to bet a lot of you guys don't know this story, that Heat is actually based on a true story.
I didn't know that.
So here's the true story of Heat. Neil McCauley, played by Robert De Niro, was a real gangster.
Okay.
In Chicago in the 1960s. I mean, down to him serving time in Alcatraz. Like, this is a real criminal. Okay. So Neil McCauley, Robert De Niro, real guy. Al Pacino's character was a real detective. His name was Chuck Adamson. Okay, and Chuck Adamson, Al Pacino, was hunting Neil McCauley, played by Robert De Niro. That's a real interaction. that is happening. Okay, so a lot of the things that happen in Heat actually happen in real life. So the scene where prior to the bank robbery here, where they're trying to like disable all the camera systems and all that kind of stuff, and eventually they walk away because they think they're being surveilled. That actually happened.
Really?
That was a real thing that happened.
Incredible.
The famous scene where Al Pacino pulls over De Niro and they go to that coffee shop and they have that conversation. That's real interaction.
No shit.
Yeah. And so the robbery that we're watching here happens in real life about a year after that. Okay. The year was 1964. So Neil McCauley and his crew basically were knocking over basically armored trucks, which is, kind of ties into the movie, right?
Yeah.
So basically the armored truck crew goes into whatever, store or whatever to pick up their cash drop. That's when McCauley, they go in, they hit the crew, they come out, and at that time, Chuck Adamson and Robert De Niro, right? Basically, the police have surrounded them. They get into a real firefight in which basically all the thugs are killed, right? So Neil McCauley and everyone is killed in that. Okay. Here's where the story gets cooler, right? So you go, first of all, this is actually semi-accurate. I'm sure this is way more grand here than it was.
Yeah,
not to mention it was in the 60s, so it's not like they were using 733s. I'm not sure what the guns were off the top of my head. But what's pretty cool, Chuck Adamson, right? Again, Al Pacino's character, he winds up leaving police work and he moves out to Hollywood to work as like a technical advisor and things like that, okay? He, in doing that, meets Michael Mann, the director of Heat, right? And Michael Mann sort of becomes enamored by this story of, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, effectively, right? And so Heat has been made twice, okay? It was first made as, Michael Mann makes it as a TV movie called LA Takedown, okay? Basically a low budget, made for TV movie.
I've never seen that. Have you?
I haven't actually.
Okay.
I actually really want to see it. And it's no big deal. It wasn't like a huge project or anything, but he makes it as a made-for-TV movie. After that, he goes on to make The Last of the Mohicans.
Love that.
Right. And that goes bonkers, right? And Michael
Sure.
Mann becomes Michael Mann from that. And he's like, now that I got the street cred, now we're going to make Heat for real. So he literally had a trial run making at this with LA Takedown as a made-for-TV movie. And then he actually goes back and makes Heat a second time. All based on a true story, right?
That's so cool.
Pretty cool.
I had no clue.
Right. It's like most people really don't know that like, this is largely based in fact. Obviously, a lot of liberties taken and all that kind of stuff. But, as we watch the shootout, Robert De Niro also the only one who can successfully pull off a goatee and look cool.
True.
Like he actually looks like a stud with this.
Yeah, absolutely he does.
Either of us would look like idiots. Of course, this whole conversation is not meant to be about all the guns of Heat, but I mean, hot damn.
It's got an excellent lineup.
With the damn Galil, the FNC,
FNC.
like, oh,
Even M16A2s are cool. Your riot shotguns. I mean, it really is indicative of the time, and there's some cool stuff. But here it is. He's about to kick us off.
and now it pops off.
Those shades he's wearing are awesome.
Just epic, right? It's, epically cool. So here's another thing that was pretty unique to Heat. This is really pre-actors getting a lot in the way of technical training for action scenes. Learning how to shoot, especially learning how to move and shoot. Tactics just weren't really a thing at this point. So this one was pretty interesting. So all the actors were basically training at a range in LA with some former SAS operatives. Really? Okay. And what was cool is, and they were actually training with live rounds, so the actors would know what the actual guns felt like. You can see old footage of De Niro running around with like a .226 and pinging steel and all that. Epic shot of him shooting through the window. I mean, it's like the shot of the whole movie. But so what was interesting about this is they set up the range with basically like wooden barriers to mimic where everything would actually be when they set it up for real. So when they were here filming this, they'd already run all of this. Basically with weapons, but moving around, blocks that are set up to mimic vehicles and things like that. So all of this was pre-rehearsed. Obviously, you don't show up and just pull something like this off. But they were only allowed to film the Heat shootout on Saturdays and Sundays. And obviously, this took more than 2 days to film.
Sure.
So basically, they would have to set up all of this, film Saturday and Sunday, tear it all down, wait 5 days or do something else for 5 days, and then set it all up again and do it all over again. So like this took weeks.
All right, yeah,
to
I had
pull
no
this
clue.
off.
I had no clue about that.
I was hearing one of the technical advisors. He was talking about this, saying that their average take. So this is filmed in downtown LA. Their average take was 800 to 1,000 rounds.
Holy crap.
I mean, so they were blasting when they were doing these takes. And all the sound is all raw, unedited sound footage. Now, of course, we're coming up on the famous reload here.
And it is so clean. I think he pulls it straight out of the vest.
So we're going to back up on this, okay? Because, of course, the famous thing at this point is that, you know, a boot camp instructor, whoever it is, I think for the Marines, basically has been quoted as telling, like, you know, the new, you know, troops or whatever in boot camp, like, hey, if you can't reload a M16 as fast as an actor, get out of here.
Sure.
So what we're going to do, so we're going to time Val's reload. We're going to try to get a couple of rounds of timing this. We're going to time it from when he goes to bolt lock. As soon as he goes to bolt lock, we're going to start the clock, and we're going to stop the clock once his reload is done and he gets his first rounds back off. And we're going to see how long this reload is here. Bolt lock. Rounds. Okay. So I'm showing 484. Okay. Let's back it up. Let's run it one more time. So that was like just shy of 5 seconds. There we go. Okay. I clocked in at 514 at that. So
Average 5.
can we say 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. So the real question is, Val Kilmer did it in 5 seconds. Can we do it in 5 seconds? Guys, we're going to be in the range in one moment, seeing if we can beat Val Kilmer's epic heat reload. But sponsor of today's video, big shout out to them, would be National Armory. They are over in the general Pittsburgh, PA area, but they're also online. I'm sure you guys will be able to find them if you just start looking for National Armory. They carry a lot of stuff, new and old, and as someone who has toured a lot of gun shops in the country, I would tell you they probably have, I mean, they are like top tier in terms of like my favorite shops that I've ever been to. So like I said, there's new goodies there. There's old goodies there. You guys can plug in a code 1911 that will save you guys 10% off of that. So you can definitely try that. I know that they're 733 fans, right? Because we all are, and they're fans of heat. So anyway, appreciate National Armory, and on with the show. All right, everyone. So we are going to attempt to see if we can match and or beat Mr. Val Kilmer's time in the famous heat reload. A couple of pieces of kit that you have to take into account here. The main one being the vest, okay? And so Commando store does recreations of the heat vest. They're actually pretty damn cool. They're way more effective than you think.
And they're nice. Like, it's nice quality.
It's actually really nice.
Which is kind of crazy.
And I bought this. No affiliation whatsoever.
Yep.
It's just, it is a cool piece of kit. Retro, but somehow still effective. So show people, like,
Right.
we don't know ultimately how Val did the reload because his back is to us when he does it. So we can't see where he's grabbing from, if there was any gamesmanship there. I think it was clean, but we don't know where he grabbed from and how he did it. But one route is, of course, you can lift the little flap, pull out your mag goes in. The other route.
So the way they make this is with the Velcro piece here that tears away. So you pretty much just pull the magazine out just like that. So I tend to think that's probably the way it was done. The unfortunate thing is you don't get a really good shot at the, you having some trouble there?
Yeah, help.
Okay.
Put it in the,
yeah,
in the hole.
I'll help you put it in the hole.
Okay,
I'm
then
sure
put the
there's
flap. There we
comment
go.
there. But you don't really have a good shot of the vest to know exactly like what his actual vest does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's a tearaway motion because it's so fast.
It is, and also it's kind of up to each, you know, shooter how they would orientation of how they run their bullets and everything, depending on what kind of how you do your reload. So anyway, and then we're gonna have a backpack on. The one they had in heat was supposed to hold like, you know, $4 million a piece or something like that. Ours does not. The fellas at Victos sent me this. I'm like, hey, we're staging a fake bank robbery in Texas. And they're like, we got it. So anyway, this doesn't have that much cash. Some cash, but not that much cash.
Well, and they should probably put on their website the volume of money that a bag holds. I think that's important for everyone out there to know.
I think you get a solid 2-3 mil in that bad boy. Anyway, okay, we'll pause and then we'll run the drill. Okay, for frame of reference, everyone, I think I'm gonna grab from the bottom. Okay, these get a little more bunched up here. I think I'm gonna rip from the bottom. That's gonna be my Val Kilmer strategy. I'm really nervous. I'm more nervous than I should.
It's a fast reload.
I'm more nervous than I should be about this.
All right, let's see it.
Okay, so Eli will start the clock as soon as I hit bolt lock, right? Because that's when the 5 seconds starts on Val's reload. He goes bolt lock, 5 seconds pass until he has new rounds on target. And I will do the kneel. Don't think that I'm lazy enough that I'm not gonna kneel like he did. All right, are we ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Fuck. God damn it. God, stupid fucking actors.
Killed in the streets.
I'm not doing the rip.
LA.
I think the rip is stupid. What?
I don't know what your time was on that one, but it wasn't 5 seconds.
Well, I didn't finish it because there was no point. It did not finish. Money.
439.
Val.
439.
Money. Did it. Passed. All right, everyone. Just a slight correction. My real time was 4:12, which was the first round. We realized we were timing it from my last round, so 4:12 is the time to beat. You have a ponytailed blonde man in the streets of downtown Los Angeles. Let's see if you can reload faster than him with the kneel. When you are ready.
Okay. Ah!
406. Look at you.
Bungled the reload a little bit too quick.
Yeah. Well, mine wasn't clean either. Keep in mind, I'm a lefty, right? So the manual of arms on this is very difficult.
Well, and I was trying to hit the slap like
power slap.
Val Kilmer did.
But okay, we can both shoot better than Val. And keep in mind, we got real recoil. They wouldn't have had real recoil either.
Right, sure.
Right? So it's like, turns out we can kick the shit out of Val Kilmer.
Man, I could do a cleaner.
Okay, everyone, let's talk a little bit about my gun. Also, sorry to the memory of Val for giving him the middle finger when I beat his reload time. I did beat his reload time. I didn't have to give him the middle finger.
Yeah, it was excessive.
It was excessive.
But I mean, you're already going to hell, so it's like, what further punishment
awaits
you?
Yeah, what's the difference? Is it gonna get worse? Maybe. Fuck if I know.
Go to the lower tier.
I don't know how it works down there. So, like I said, a 733 clone is nothing new. People have been doing this forever, and I wanted to go down that path. It can get a little tricky, especially if you're trying to do it with, Colt lowers. And I mean, hell, the damn Colt lowers can wind up being super pricey. So this is a Type A resto-mod. Like I said, we've had Type A for years at this point on the channel. I've always had really good experiences with the rifle. This is not a one-off, okay? Originally, I was like, well, you guys don't have to make me like a one-off. They're like, no, we make these. And I was like, first of all, how am I not aware of that? Like, I'm the guy that, should know that. How did I not know about this? And you got to keep in mind, this isn't meant to be a one-to-one clone. The cloning community really can...
it's rough.
Man, they just got a way of really irritating the shit out of you, don't they?
Yep, absolutely.
They're something else.
Bless her heart, we say.
Yeah. So this isn't meant to be a one-to-one clone. Most of the gun is made by Type A. They're also a machine shop, so they make a lot of the components in-house. So obviously it's on their lower, their upper. They're actually doing charging handle uppers now, which is actually pretty sweet. I did not know that until I got that.
They're making their carrier handle?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat.
That actually is.
That is pretty neato there. Their bolt carrier group, barrel, safeties, a lot of things like that. Some of the stuff that's not theirs, you've got some of the B5 Systems parts, like the like the stock, the grip. I think the charging handles from them. So, it is a little bit of a mismatch of mostly Type A things and then some stuff from B5, and there's probably a couple other random things I'm not thinking about. Doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they'll do it as a pistol or an SBR. I can just tell you, if you're getting a 733 and you're not doing it as an SBR, I don't really know what you're doing with yourself.
Yep.
It's kind of blasphemy to do that as a pistol.
It's got to be an SBR.
Yeah, 100%. I know I will get questions about it, so to clarify, the trigger that is in this is a FRT trigger from Rare Breed. They did not give me the trigger. It was actually just a gift from a buddy, but I got to tell you.
It's wild. Holy crap.
Quite amazing. There's not many guns, truthfully, that I would want to put it in, but for something like that.
Perfect.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is exactly.
I'm going to be honest with you. It should be SOP.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, it took me a second there.
Standard operating procedure. Yeah, for a 733. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. It's really quite impressive. Really haven't had any hiccups. You had one or two little hiccups. We couldn't even quite sure what it was.
Well, and I, the other thing too, like ARs aren't my bag, and maybe I was doing something wrong. I really don't want to blame this because you actually didn't have anything. You shot this
a bunch.
Even before.
Yeah,
and you never had anything. So it was probably me, more than likely me. So
yeah, but definitely that rare beat trigger is one of those where you go, boy, that, and to my understanding, I don't keep up on legislation that much, but I believe that, they had some issues, they went to court, they won the court, so it's like, boy, I think this has actually kind of already been through the ringer, and whew, boy, that's a good time. It's a real good time.
It's the most fun I've had with my pants on.
Yeah.
Maybe even with my pants off.
Yeah, well, hopefully not, because that speaks to the pants off, excitement.
I mean, I'd like to shoot this with my pants off.
God, can you imagine? The thrill, the freaking thrill of that. But the gun is just amazingly lightweight, cool. I mean, genuinely, like within my little roster of ARs that I've got, I'm like, yeah, that one really does stand out as being a really, really good time.
Well, and again, you're a gun guy. You watch Heat, which is the gun guy movie.
Yeah.
And of course, do they ever use semi-automatic?
Never. And that's why it's like, hey, if you're going to set up this gun, it's like, boy, it's a pretty good gun to do something like a FRT or something like that. You do whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. But it is a good time. So with that said, we're going to cut over to the range, run a little stage Heat style. All right, everyone. So here's what we're going to do for the grand freaking finale. There's no point to the stage other than just see how we do. So we're going to run a stage. We're going to compare times. The time doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're just going to have some fun. So we're going to start here. Beep will go off. You have to run to position 1 with your 733 and engage the target on the right. Just a burst, 5 rounds, something like that. That's gonna be position number 1. Then you're gonna go to the back of the vehicle, not getting too close to the vehicle because we don't wanna hurt the old girl here. The next target in, a burst of rounds. Okay, cool. Then we're moving to position number 3. Which is gonna be our barrel. Can you bring me the downed man? You're gonna go to position number 3, take a knee, shoot from cover the 3rd target here, get a burst. Unfortunately, at target number 3, your friend Val has now taken a round to the neck. Val, in this case, called Jackery, or Jackery? 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 Jackery. Yes, and so you're gonna grab Val as Neil McCauley did in the film, right? You're gonna grab him. So now I got Val, which means now the only way I can really run my 733 is as Neil McCauley did, which is from down here. So we're gonna move into the target on the far left as I'm carrying Jackery, and we're gonna see if we can get a few rounds on target moving into the final one here. We'll see how it goes. There's literally no point to this other than we like shooting and we're gonna have fun.
All right,
Here we
Robert
go.
De Niro, Red Bear De Niro, ready? Stand by.
Huh.
Damn it, work thing. Pocket.
No, God! That was a 5-second part timer. Val! Ugh.
That was something.
That was fun. That was a good time.
That was fun.
That was a really good time. Let's see if we hit shit. You know what?
Hey, well,
It's a bad day.
they won't be pursuing you.
The reality of this scenario, we were being pursued by worse criminals. Like, these were actual, it's not like in the movie who they're shooting at. This was bad guys being chased by worse bad guys.
Yeah.
So in many ways, we
Yeah.
tried to do a service.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly
Yeah.
cool.
Like, those are the bad ones.
Not too bad.
That's not too bad at all. And I had a decent round count on that guy.
Yeah. You got a lot of rounds left in the tank there.
I did. So you know what? Fairly controllable in small bursts. I mean, the longer it goes, the worse it's gonna get. But I think I probably only torched off 4 or 5 on that. I mean, it ain't perfect. Keep in mind, we're shooting iron sights here. So I'm okay with that. What was the time?
And 33:59.
Oh, wow.
Val! Come on, Val!
27.19 and a good time at that. How fun is that? Is that not a party?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, this is not your best target.
No.
This is, that's not a hit. Did you?
Well, I scared him a little bit.
Oh, you got a collarbone, but. So this guy probably survived this. Okay, yeah, we've got some good clean, got some good clean hits here. Okay, yeah. Target number 3, pretty well cooked.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't using my sights.
Well, that, you
I
know.
was just kind of looking down the barrel.
At speed, those sights do get a tad bit challenging. Okay, and we got some, we got some shit going on here. Okay, so,
Well,
yeah.
I am the FUD, so
Yeah, this is a bit
this
high speed for you.
newfangled stuff probably not for me.
Yeah, okay. Solid time though, 27.19.
You can go fast when you don't hit anything. Remember that.